Iran's political landscape finds itself at a critical juncture as waves of public demonstrations challenge President Masoud Pezeshkian's ambitious reform agenda, testing both his commitment to change and the limits of political transformation within the Islamic Republic's rigid power structure. Since taking office in July 2024, Pezeshkian has positioned himself as a moderate reformist, promising greater social freedoms, economic improvements, and a recalibration of Iran's relationship with the international community. His election victory was itself remarkable, coming amid widespread voter apathy and years of political disillusionment following the brutal crackdown on the 2022 Woman, Life, Freedom protests sparked by Mahsa Amini's death in police custody. However, the recent protests revealed the enormous gap between campaign promises and the reality of governing within Iran's theocratic system, where ultimate authority rests not with the elected president, but with Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei and the unelected conservative establishment. Demonstrators have taken to the streets in multiple cities, voicing frustration over economic hardships, social restrictions, and the slow pace of promised reforms. The economic dimension of the protests cannot be understated. Iran's economy continues to suffer under the weight of international sanctions, mismanagement, and corruption. Inflation remains stubbornly high, the rial has lost significant value, and unemployment, particularly among young people, continues to climb. Many Iranians who voted for Pezeshkian, hoping for immediate economic relief, now feel betrayed as their daily struggles intensify. The president's efforts to revive the nuclear deal and ease sanctions have produced limited results, leaving ordinary citizens to bear the burden of geopolitical tensions. Beyond economic grievances, social issues remain at the forefront of public anger. Despite Pezeshkian's rhetoric about relaxing enforcement of mandatory hijab laws and expanding personal freedoms, the morality police continue their operations, and women still face harassment and arrest for dress code violations. This contradiction between presidential promises and the reality enforced by security apparatus controlled by hardliners has fueled cynicism and anger among younger Iranians who demand genuine change. The protests present Pezeshkian with an impossible dilemma. Responding with force would completely undermine his reformist credentials and align him with the hardline establishment he ostensibly opposes. Yet showing sympathy for protesters or attempting to address their demands risks antagonizing the powerful conservative forces that could easily sideline his presidency. Previous reformist presidents, notably Mohammad Khatami, discovered that meaningful change is nearly impossible when the real power structures remain hostile to reform. Furthermore, the security establishment views these protests through the lens of national security threats, often attributing unrest to foreign interference rather than acknowledging legitimate domestic grievances. The Revolutionary Guards and intelligence services maintain their own agenda, frequently acting independently of presidential directives. This parallel power structure limits what any president, regardless of intentions, can actually accomplish. International observers watch these developments closely as they reveal fundamental questions about Iran's capacity for peaceful political evolution. The protests demonstrate that significant segments of Iranian society, particularly the educated middle class and youth, reject the current system's limitations on freedom and opportunity. Whether the Islamic Republic can adapt to these demands or whether it will continue responding with repression remains uncertain. For Pezeshkian, the coming months will determine whether his presidency represents a genuine opportunity for gradual reform or merely another chapter in Iran's cycle of raised hopes and dashed expectations. His response to these protests will signal whether he possesses the political capital and courage to push for meaningful change, or whether he will become yet another moderate figure absorbed by the system he promised to reform. the stakes extend beyond Pezeshkian's political survival. If his moderate approach fails to produce tangible results, it could permanently discredit reformism as a viable path forward, potentially pushing more Iranians toward either radical opposition or resigned apathy. Conversely, if he can navigate this crisis while maintaining pressure for gradual change, it might preserve space for continued reform efforts. As protests continue, one reality becomes increasingly clear. The Iranian people, particularly the younger generation, will no longer accept cosmetic changes or empty promises. They demand substantive transformation in how their country is governed, and whether that change comes through reform or some other path will define Iran's trajectory for years to come.